Hello and welcome to That Nerd Thing, where we uncover the magical impact that fandoms have on our lives. I'm Morgan, and one thing that you may not know about me is that my all-time favorite genre of books is actually young adult books, otherwise known as YA. So I'm really excited today because I get to interview another author, a YA author, and it's kind of funny to me how I've been really getting back into my love of reading, and now I'm getting to interview all of these amazing authors on the show. So I would love to welcome Ria Parisi, the author of the upcoming YA fantasy book of Wolves and Stags. Hi, Ria. I'm so excited you're here.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm very excited.
You know, it's funny. Erin was on That Nerd Thing a few weeks ago, and she has been introducing me to the most amazing people to be on the show. I'm like, Erin, this is amazing. So I know she connected us, and I'm so grateful. And she was telling me how you also cosplay. So I think we have just so many fun things to talk about today.
Yeah, I actually met Erin cosplaying Star Wars characters, and then we ended up getting the publishing connection. It was like, oh, when I started to go into writing and stuff, she was so helpful for me. So yeah, that's great. I'm glad she connected us.
Yeah, cool. So, oh man, I have so many things I want to talk to you about that and YA and writing and your favorite YA books, but let's start with your nerdy identity. Are you ready?
Yeah, I would love to.
What was the first thing that you were nerdy about?
The first thing I was nerdy about in fandom and stuff was Star Wars, because my dad sent me down when I was 2 and said, this is Star Wars, right from the beginning. I have these memories from childhood of picking up paper towel rolls and having lightsaber fights with him.
Aww.
And we would play this game that I called Guys. I said, Dad, I want to play Guys with you. And we would be the different guys from Star Wars. And I would always want to be Princess Leia, but I would pretend that she was Luke because I always wanted to be a Jedi. And at that time, I hadn't read any of the books to know that she does become a Jedi at some point. And we would just fight with paper towel rolls.
Oh my God, that's amazing. So you've been a major Star Wars fan?
Yes, yeah. It's basically my whole life I've been a Star Wars fan and still love Star Wars so much.
Yeah. So do you cosplay as Star Wars?
I do. One of the biggest things I do in cosplay is that I'm part of something called the Rebel Legion, which is a charity organization and costuming group. So it is kind of the sister counterpart of the 501st, if you've heard of that before. And so we dress up as the good guys of Star Wars, and then we'll go to different charity events and hospital visits and sometimes some bigger events that Lucasfilm will call us out to do. Like I've done like a Phillies game. We've done like Star Wars nights and done that sort of thing. And I dress up as Rey mostly, but I also do Leia occasionally.
So this is legit.
Well, it's, I've been cosplaying since, oh gosh, it's been like 13 years now of cosplaying. And when The Force Awakens came out, it kind of like reinvigorated how much I loved Star Wars. And I remember like sitting in the theater and the moment when they're fighting in the snow and that lightsaber is called over to Rey, I just remember bawling in the theaters. It was like finally time for a female main character and to be like the Jedi that I always wanted to be when I was a kid. And I was like, I'm going to cosplay the poop out of this character. And did.
Oh, I love that.
And my partner cosplays Kylo with me and does the events, or used to. We don't do as much now that we have kids of our own, so it's tough to find time. But that's where I met so many people in the Star Wars fandom, was going through and doing these events and that sort of thing.
That's so amazing. And it's so amazing to me seeing how these things that we first become nerdy about just really become such an important piece of our lives. And we do so much more than just being a fan. Like we form communities, we form relationships, you join charity organizations. Like that's so cool.
What you're saying, like becoming big parts of our lives. Like my pregnancy announcement was a Reylo pregnancy announcement. And for people who don't know what Reylo is, that's the romantic relationship of Rey and Kylo. My partner and I dressed up as those characters and had a little sign that said we were pregnant, which was so silly, but also just us expressing ourselves and being fun. Yeah.
So I just realized maybe some people listening to the show might not know exactly what cosplay is. How would you define it?
So cosplay is sort of a combination of the words costume and play. There's different ways that people approach it. You can do more of the costuming side where you're making your own costumes and learning craft and sewing and that sort of thing. I kind of fall in that realm. I make most of our costumes that we have, although I do occasionally buy, and there's no like you're better if you make them over buying, honestly, like especially not for me. I'm like fully on board that like cosplay is for everyone. Let's all like just go have fun and do this. So it's either you make your costume, you buy your costume, maybe you just find stuff in your closet that kind of remotely looks like the characters and you're going and having fun. And it's dressing up as these characters. And then the play part is you hang out in your community and you have fun. People will go to conventions. People do photo shoots and share them online. With the rise of like cosplay on TikTok, you'll find people who just make costumes to make TikToks where they sing and dance and lip sing and enjoy just being the character and being in their skin for a little bit. I just love cosplay because I loved bringing characters to life, and that's part of why I love writing so much. And so that was like an extension of that. I was bringing these characters to life in a different way.
So I was reading one of your, I don't know if it's the book that's coming out, you said is a retelling of...
The Stars We Follow. Okay, yes, it's a retelling of Orpheus and Eurydice.
Yes.
That is not the one that's coming out yet,
Okay.
but that one is, people know about it, it's all on social media. It is the book that I've turned into my agent that I was writing before I signed with her. So that's going to be going out on, it's what's called submission, so that's when she takes them out to editors to see if somebody wants to buy the book for it to be published. So cross your fingers that that book will be published at some point.
That's so cool. Because so the shirt I'm wearing, I don't know if you could see it. It's I'll lift up a little bit. Oh shoot, I just dropped my phone. Can you see it's the Hadestown Lady of the Underworld?
Is it Hadestown? Yes.
Yeah. And I was just like, wait a second. I like subconsciously put that together because I just saw it a few months ago, and then I saw that you're doing the retelling, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I need to read this because I went into this not knowing what happened. And so at the end, I was like, is this the ending? So I'm really excited to read the retelling.
Oh my goodness! When I went to see Hadestown, I knew of the myth, and I remember sitting there and people like gasping because they truly just they didn't know the myth, just like you. They didn't know going in.
Yeah,
and they were so shocked. I was like, oh no, these poor people. I feel
I know.
It's such a tragedy.
I know. What is your favorite nerdy thing?
So my favorite nerdy thing is Disney parks. I'm like that Disney adult. Mm-hmm. I have a bunch of ears. I have been going since I was a child every single year, and I've continued to do that with my family and such. I love Disney parks. I have a little Spaceship Earth Epcot ball over here, and Epcot's my favorite place in the entire world.
So you go to Orlando?
I do. I have been to Disneyland a few times. I have not been into any of the parks that are out of the country yet, but I'm going to Disneyland Paris next year, so I'm starting to rack up, and I'm excited for that trip.
Oh, so cool.
But yeah, Orlando's been like the home base of Disney for me.
My favorite ride, I'm obsessed with it, is the Haunted Mansion.
I love that.
I'm obsessed.
Love. If I had to pick a favorite ride, my favorite ride currently is Tron because it's very new and I love Tron so much as a movie and such. So I was so excited to go on Tron. But like probably my favorite more like old school ride at this point is Living with the Land. It's so chill.
Wait, which one is that? Where is it?
So that's in Epcot.
Oh yeah, with all the greenery and all
plants.
of that. Yes. Oh my gosh, that's so funny. I remember I haven't been to Epcot in years, but I remember thinking this ride is so boring. Don't be doing so.
It is such a chill ride. It's one of those rides that's like I need a break, and I'm just gonna sit here. And find all the hidden Mickeys.
Oh yeah,
and enjoy my life.
I would probably love it now. I just remember as a kid, I was like, "What is this?" But
like, what is this? And then, like, probably my biggest disappointment ride at this point, and like anyone who loves Epcot will absolutely back me up on this, is the Imagination ride.
Oh really?
the ride with Figment used to be incredible. It had this guy called the Dreamfinder, and it was like a steampunk meets the dragon meets you going through like a bunch of people's dreams. And then I forget exactly what sponsorship it was, but a sponsorship ran out and they ended up having to switch the ride to something else.
Oh.
And it's been terrible ever since.
Okay.
And I have no idea why they have not tried to fix it at this point. Figment is wonderful, but that ride is terrible at this point.
Yeah, I haven't been there in years, so next time I go, I'll let you know what I think.
Yeah, let me know. Let me know. I also love, like in Epcot, they have the Guardians ride now, which is...
I've heard about that.
That's an insane roller coaster. But whoever decided that they were going to create a roller coaster that spun, and then the way for guests to get out of it was to walk up 3 flights of stairs and then down, was a mistake. It is an experience. Yeah, no, that's the thing. Yeah. You have to, like, you get off and you're disoriented, and then it's like, here's stairs. Figure this out.
So I know this isn't the same, but are you a fan of Universal?
Yeah, I am. I haven't been as often as I've been to Disney, but I've definitely been to Universal. Yeah. I've been to only the Florida one, though. I haven't been to the one out in Hollywood.
What are you currently nerdy about?
My current big nerdy obsession is the Stormlight Archives by Brandon Sanderson. It is this sweeping fantasy epic, and he does this thing. It's almost like, I think the best way to describe it for people who've never heard of it is it's like the MCU of books. He's created this thing called the Cosmere, where almost all of his books intertwine in some way, and there's characters that cross over, and there's a certain character that's in every single one of the works, and we may or may not be building up to some sort of thing. Who knows? This man's a little crazy. He's able to put out like 5 surprise books in 1 year. I could never write like him. It's inspiring. But the Stormlight Archives, it's actually the first series of his I've ever read, and they're huge books, and you would feel like that they would be really daunting, but he writes in a way that's so accessible, and he gives these like high fantasy stories that sort of feel like you're in like a Lord of the Rings sort of medieval vibe, but in a way that is just really relatable, and you just are able to read it quicker than you expect you would be able to, which I love.
Is it YA?
It is not YA. So this one is adult. However, I would say that it does... It's hard to say it reads like YA, because it's like, what is YA exactly? It's really just an age group that you're writing for. So I don't want to say that like it reads like YA necessarily, but it definitely moves in a way that I wouldn't say is like clunky. Like, you don't feel like I have to struggle with the prose in order to understand what's going on, even when he's giving me like a bunch of random words for his world kind of thing.
So how many books are in this universe?
In the Cosmere, I want to say there's at least 15 books in the Cosmere at least. But the Stormlight Archives, there's 4 books out right now, and the 5th book will come out in November of this year. So that's a little bit more manageable.
I know. Ever since starting this podcast, my list of books to read, shows to watch, movies to watch, it's just like growing, and I'm like, it's amazing. It's all I want to do. And then I'm just like, I don't have time, but I'm so excited. Right. That sounds really good.
And I will say, like, the thing that I think I love the most about it is the theme that he's going for. And I've heard him describe it as it's broken people saving the world. And it's one of the best descriptions of depression I think I've seen in a really long time, is like having your main character have clinical depression and have to deal with it. And it doesn't just go away after book 1, like he wins and like he's a hero at this point. He's still dealing with it in book 4 in a really major way. And I found that really relatable, as I've been through mental health struggles. And like, I just really love the way that he writes these characters and the care that he puts in and the research that he puts in for mental health. And I would highly recommend it so much.
It's so intriguing to me when I read a book with a therapist, or people going to therapy, or people, experiencing the human experience, I guess, and depression and anxiety, and feeling like it's much more relatable.
Right. And yeah, I don't want to spoil too much of the book, obviously, but it's like a multiple point of view character way of going about it, and each one of them deals with some sort of major mental illness. So like the main character Kaladin deals with depression. There's another character, Dalinar, that deals with PTSD. It really does a deep dive. And I don't want to say who, because it's kind of a spoiler, so I'm not going to say who. But there is a character that deals with DID. And I was very happy to see Brandon take criticism from people that maybe he wasn't handling that illness in the best way, and to change course. And to, like, as an author, say, like, okay, I'm now getting somebody to come in and consult with me on how I should be handling this character to make sure that I'm best representing this community. And that character does change course in the next book in a way that I felt was really good for their character and for giving the messages that he wanted to.
Awesome. What is the most underrated nerdy thing about you?
So I think the most underrated nerdy thing, or like a thing that I don't have a lot of people to share this with because not a lot of people are big fans of this. I'm a humongous fan of the Inhumans, like Marvel's Inhumans. I don't know if you've ever heard of them. They are the best way I can describe them is that they're like the X-Men, but meets Game of Thrones. It's all like royalty and political intrigue and more sci-fi, that sort of thing. And unfortunately, they did try to kind of bring them into the MCU, and the TV show they made flopped.
Aww.
So yeah, no, they didn't do a good job. And so not a lot of people are big fans of the Inhumans. I love them. One of the main characters, her name is Crystal. She's like the Avatar. She has like the power of water, fire, earth, the air, all of that. And I have done 4 cosplays of this character, including cosplaying her wedding gown. And
cool.
I got to meet the comic book artist who made that wedding gown too at New York Comic Con in the dress, and I was one of the most exciting moments for me. I love the Inhumans, and I would, like, it's hard to get into because you have to actually read the comics because there's not that much other media of them, and I know getting into comics can be daunting. It can be hard to find that sort of like spot to jump in because there's just like continuous storylines forever. But there's like a couple standalone graphic novels of the Inhumans that people could look at that are really cool. And then also they did the crossover with the Guardians at one point in an arc that's called War of Kings. So if like people know Guardians, then that might be easier to like sort of break into the Inhuman situation. But yeah, they're really cool. It's like these people who just have all this political intrigue and then also superhero powers. And I love that sort of stuff together, and that kind of helped inspire my book, actually. Not like the Inhumans themselves, but I really wanted to have kind of superhero-esque powers in a fantasy setting kind of thing. Yeah.
Ooh. What is the most random nerdy thing about you?
The most random nerdy thing about me is that I met my partner on a Harry Potter website when I was 15 years old.
Oh my god, what Harry Potter website?
So it was the Warner Brothers community forums that they had for Harry Potter. When I was 15, I used to do like online written role play with a bunch of people there. That's actually how I got started into writing at all, was I did these fandom role plays with different people online, and ended up meeting my future partner there.
Oh my god, I love that so much. I love the Harry Potter online community and how we all really found that online. Who did you roleplay as?
In the Harry Potter fandom, I mostly roleplayed Lily, and they roleplayed James. So,
I love that. I love that.
Yeah.
For everybody listening who might not be a Harry Potter fan, Lily and James are Harry Potter's parents.
They are, yeah.
I used to love reading Lily James fan fiction.
Like the Marauders era stuff was our jam for the longest time. It's a shame because I don't really interact with the Harry Potter fandom anymore.
Yeah.
And I don't begrudge anyone who still does. There's no like hard feelings here at all. It's just more like my partner's non-binary, and so it's hard for us to like find joy in it anymore. But like looking back, we loved Marauders, and that was where we really like shone. In our first convention we ever went to was a Harry Potter specific convention, and our first cosplays were James and Lily. And so yeah, we loved it. Oh,
I miss those conventions. And I do want to clarify for everybody listening that I in no way support the beliefs of the author, that my love for Harry Potter is about the community right now and the fans and the fandom. So I just want to make sure that that's very clear.
Yeah, that's exactly how I feel too. It's like, even if I can't interact with it, like, my love for it is still, it's with the fandom and the people who are loving the fandom and the joy that it brings them.
So let's get more into your journey into just fandom and writing and YA and cosplay. Where did it start?
I think where it started for, like, specifically cosplay was the Star Wars prequels coming out, and I fell in love with Padme's outfits. I was a teenager and I just was like, these are the coolest outfits I've ever seen in my entire life, and I want to wear them. And I fell down a rabbit hole of researching them on a website called thepadawansguide.com, where this woman just meticulously took notes of every single detail of all of Padme's outfits. And I thought that was so cool. And so when I became an adult and I was able to have my own money and do my own things and, like, sew, and my grandmother taught me how to sew, I started to make my own costumes. And as I said, joined the Rebel Legion and that kind of stuff. But I cosplay anime fandoms. I've done The Witcher. My daughter's name is actually Cirilla, so, like, we love The Witcher. I've done The Witcher. Star Wars is a huge cosplay for me. And then with the writing, it was, as I said, I started in these role play groups, and I was writing with these people, and I think we just all got to a point where we were all adults who had kids and jobs and not enough time to write together anymore. And I went down this, like, little hole of, like, I don't have anybody to write with anymore. And I realized writing is integral to my life. And if I'm not telling stories, I am depressed. I am not doing well. And I didn't know what to do for a while because I was like, I can't find new partners. I'm having a hard time. I'm, like, in my 30s. I don't want to go role play with a bunch of children and have it not be cool. That sort of thing. So I'm trying to, like, find an outlet. And I finally said, you know what? I've avoided it for so long. I've thought I wouldn't be good enough. I want to write my own stuff, and I'm going to approach it how I approached coming up with RP ideas for all these different fandoms. And, like, when you would write RPs, you're writing as one character from a fandom. So say I was doing a Star Wars RP and I was writing Rey, I would then have another partner who wrote Kylo in the story. Maybe someone else would be writing Finn and Poe, and you're all as a community coming up with a story together. So this was my first time sitting and writing a story as all the characters and doing it by myself. And I was really daunted by it, but it started coming together faster than I thought it would. I was really inspired by my love of the sequels, and specifically by my love of the Reylo ship, which again was the Rey and Kylo thing, because I really love enemies to lovers. That has always been my thing.
Too. Me too.
I look back and I'm like, you were 14 in love with the Phantom of the Opera. That was a little concerning. But I always loved enemies to lovers. Specifically, I really love the Reylo dynamic of them being equally matched towards each other, and that it was kind of this yin and yang situation. And I really loved that. And I saw that other writers were being inspired by them. You have Ali Hazelwood, who started as a Reylo fan fiction. You have Thea Quinton. She also was. Yeah. Oh, yeah. The Love Hypothesis was I forget the name of it, but was a Reylo fan fiction.
Wow.
That was, they shaved off the names, and that's why his name is Adam. It's Adam Driver.
That's crazy. That's so cool. I love that.
I love that book. It's so good. And as I said, Theo Quazan with the Hurricane Wars, that was also Reylo. So I was inspired by this ship, and I said, okay, what if it was kind of a Reylo-esque situation, but in high fantasy? Because I really love high fantasy. And then as I started writing the book, it became not quite exactly one-to-one Reylo. It became very much more my own story. I started it kind of like I would start an RP of, like, I want an AU of these characters in this situation.
That's so cool. So for listeners, AU, that's alternate universe,
alternate universe, yeah.
Oh, that's so cool. So
like you'll see like coffee shop AU in fan fiction or RP. So it's like these characters as baristas. But like,
So how did you go from writing that to now publishing, and your book comes out next year?
It does, yeah. So I finished the book and then I went through a long series of edits and beta reads. So that's like sending them out to readers and getting feedback and then going and editing again.
Was this before you had a publisher?
This was before, yeah. I was just editing it myself, trying to like get it as polished as possible.
How long did it take you to write it?
A year and a half. That included sitting and trying to come up with the whole world and everything, and like what I want to do with my magic system and my story and such. So it took about a year and a half to do all of that. And then I knew I really wanted to be traditionally published. And now, for those who don't know the difference between self-publishing and traditional publishing, self-publishing is when you write your book and you can hire an editor and cover artists and still do all of those really professional things, and then you put it all out yourself. And then traditional publishing is when you send your manuscript off to see if it'll be picked up by one of the many, many publishers out there, and then they're the ones who publish your novel. And there's pros and cons to both. I personally knew I wanted the traditional route because I wanted to have some sort of team behind me. I didn't want to run my own full business of doing all that back end stuff. That's not what I wanted to do. I wanted to focus on being the writer, like have other people helping me with the other stuff if possible. Because I think that the statistics are so low. And like, no, I don't mean this in any way to like toot my own horn, because it's luck, honestly. Like anybody who's querying and who doesn't get an agent doesn't mean that you're not talented. You have to be in the right place at the right time as well as be talented. And so I don't mean as in like, oh, I got through things that other people can't. No, it's just I happened to be in the right place at the right time and managed to find an agent and a small press who was interested in my book when I was doing the querying process. And I kind of went through an interesting querying process because my agent, who I signed with now, and I love her to death. She's great. She actually rejected me at first. And it's such a good story of like, don't burn your bridges, because a rejection in publishing doesn't mean that you're done. Like that they hated you, they don't like you or anything of that nature.
And it also doesn't mean you're a failure.
Of course not, right? And so she rejected my manuscript originally, but told me that she really loved my idea for my second book, which was the Orpheus and Eurydice retelling, and that she would love to see that when it was done. I ended up getting an offer on my first book from the press that I signed with now, Inked and Gray Publishing, and the editor really loved it. And because I had stayed in touch with this agent and had some sort of rapport, I ended up reaching out to her and just thanking her, and was completely shocked out of my mind to receive an email that said, "Do you want to have a phone conversation?" Wow. And she offered me representation at that point. It's so much more than just like, you can write a good book. It's also being there at the right place and you know, being kind and keeping your bridges open and such, because I am so happy that things turned out the way that they did.
What was it like when your first book picked up? Is that the correct phrase?
Yeah, that's a good word. So it was a weird rush of emotions because I was in the hospital at the time. I had pneumonia the same time that I got a book offer, an agent offer, and I was like, I hope I'm doing the right things because I'm in the hospital. So it was weird. At first, I didn't really get to celebrate because I was just sort of focusing on getting back home and then getting my life up and running again. And then publishing is so slow. Things happen behind the scenes that people don't see, and authors will just sit and wait. And then you wait until you're told that you're allowed to announce things.
Oh, God, I would be terrible at that. Every time somebody says yes to being on my show, I'm like, I want to tell the world. And I'm like, no, Morgan, wait till you have the interview recorded. Like, don't, just be patient.
Just be patient. So I actually got to have some sort of like feeling of celebration, because when my contract came in that I finally got to sign, because my agent went over everything and it was all negotiated and all good, and I went to sign my contract, that actually came in when I was on vacation in Disney World.
Oh, that's lovely.
So, yeah, it was wonderful. So all my fandom, on my birthday too. So like all my fandom like loves were there.
Merging.
And it was great. I was in line for the Haunted Mansion, actually. Your favorite ride.
Yeah.
It was the best. I saw my email ping and I was like, oh my God. And so I was there with some friends, so we got to celebrate in the Be Our Guest, which is the Beauty and the Beast Castle restaurant. And we got a little like celebration cupcake, and we couldn't say why because I like couldn't tell anybody why. Oh. But I got to celebrate then, and that felt so good. That's when it like felt real. That's when I was like, oh my gosh, this book is happening. It's coming out. This thing that I've spent so much time loving, I'm actually going to get to share these characters with people. And then a couple months after that, I got to announce it to everybody, and that felt like the whole celebration all over again.
That's amazing. What has the response been like online?
Good. You know, being with a small press doesn't necessarily mean that I'm going to get some of the like publicity that some of the bigger, you know, presses might get, and that's fine. I don't mind that at all. I was really happy and surprised when one of my videos went somewhat semi-viral over Thanksgiving. I was so happy that people received this the way that they did, because one of the things that's so important to me about writing is, especially writing YA, with your age range being 13 to 17. I want to write the books that I didn't have growing up. I didn't have plus size heroes to look up to. We were always the funny best friend. Or a villain. There were no heroines or love interests that were plus size. And I wanted to write somebody who was. And I wanted the book not to focus on her weight or have any sort of weight loss journey in it, or anyone to even comment on her being a certain weight besides just talking about the fact that her body exists. And people have seemed to really gravitate towards that, and that makes me really happy, because I'm like, okay, I'm getting to give what I want. People seem to be understanding what I want to give, and people seem to want it, so that makes me really happy.
That's so nice. What is it like to see that reaction online?
It feels good. Yeah. It feels good because usually fandom is wonderful and such, but as we know, sometimes fandom can have like a somewhat darker underbelly to it.
Yeah.
Especially in the Star Wars fandom.
I know. And I'm not really involved in that fandom, but that has been a consistent theme, especially with women not feeling not really welcomed.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. I do think part of it is just because it's such a big fandom. It being one of the biggest properties in the world, you just attract all types of people. Sort of thing, whereas you might have a more insular community in another place that's more welcoming. But Star Wars has a reputation of having a rougher fandom. It doesn't prevent me from wanting to do things with Star Wars because I love it so much, but it's the only fandom where I have faced harassment. And it's the only fandom where me posting cosplays have led to a lot of fatphobic comments, including one of my pictures being posted in a shitposting group that then had 1,000 comments calling me fat.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it was an actual like thing. And crazy enough, the guy who did that like 3 years later ended up messaging me and apologizing to me and telling me that he was in a bad place in his life. That really opened my eyes, though, like telling me of like, you know what? I forgive this person, honestly. Like it was sucky, but these people who do that sort of thing are not in a good place in their own life. Obviously, it doesn't excuse any of their behavior. The people who do that kind of stuff, they're not happy. No one who's happy is doing this kind of stuff to people. It makes me feel good to see people who are actually excited about this kind of stuff, because the only harassment I ever received was about my weight. It was never about what my costume looked like or anything like that. It was just that I was Ray who ate too much McDonald's.
Oh.
And yeah. And, you know, I am in a place in my life where those sort of comments, like, of course they affect me, because no one would be completely unable to, like, block them out. But I was at a place in my life where I was happy with my life and loved myself and my body enough that, like, it didn't prevent me from cosplaying. But I've really made my platform since then about making sure that people know that they can cosplay whoever they want, regardless of their size. And so I really wanted that to transfer over into my books, that, like, you could be the hero regardless of your size, and that's always been the part of my platform that's been like received the best, and that just makes me feel so good that that's what people follow me for, and that's what they like my content for.
Yeah, that's wonderful. And you didn't take all of that hate and let it stop you. Just like you didn't let that first rejection stop you either.
Yeah. I mean, like, it's not to get like too incredibly personal here while we're talking about fandom.
If you need me to edit out anything, let me know.
No, you don't have to edit it out. It's just more
Okay.
like I don't want to like trauma dump on people, if that makes sense at all. But like I am somebody who has a lot of medical issues, and I have been through experiences in my life where I almost didn't make it. And that to me has put a lot of stuff in perspective where it's like
Yeah.
I don't wait to lose weight to do things because I might not have another day. Not that I am like in any danger now, not that my medical issues are going to cause any problems now. I'm doing well. But you have an experience like that and then you realize that something could happen and then you don't get to do all those things that you left off. And so that, I think that helped push me into the writing thing too, because it's like, I don't want to like hold off and say, oh, I can't do it. And then I didn't do it, you know? So regardless of size, I'm never like, oh, I can't do this character until I lose a certain amount of weight and feel good about myself. No, I'll just modify the dress to feel comfortable in it. You don't have to be 100% accurate. You can just do what makes you feel comfortable.
I think this is just also such a good conversation about not always living for other people, but doing really what feels right for you. Even if you deal with failures or rejections or mistakes, like that's okay. Just still do what feels right for you.
Absolutely. Do what's right for yourself. And if you're talking about writing, like for your art, like stand up for whatever you believe in the message that you want to tell. It's unfortunate that sometimes you see, and I don't blame any of these authors, I think it's like the publishing side. Sometimes you see books that have plus size characters in them, and then the art that's official that gets put out, it's not a plus size woman. It's one of those things that's like, I wish that, and I know publishing is coming around. There's like a really good example is the No Girlfriend Rule by Kristen Randall as a plus size main character. And that character is beautifully plus size on the cover. She is gorgeous, and I was so excited to see that. I love seeing publishing opening up to the idea that maybe plus size bodies and voices are important for people to hear, and especially when you have this whole situation going on right now with the weight loss, with like Wegovy and those medications and stuff, and that sort of being like a fad. And to be clear, like losing weight for your health is important, and if you need to lose weight, like please do that for yourself. I'm not advocating any
Don't worry. This show is definitely not any sort of legal, medical, professional advice. Don't
do what's right for you. But I think that you always see in every generation some sort of push for bodies to look a certain way. And so it's always important to like not just be fat positive, but be like body positive in general. That like everyone's bodies, like regardless of size, small, medium, large, wherever we're at, as long as you're healthy and there's health at different sizes, then what's the problem? Like, you're good.
What are some of your favorite YA books?
Okay, probably the number one YA book right now I would say and recommend to people is The Cruel Prince by Holly Black. That series, I read that and that just like completely engulfed me. I love lore. And when she started going into the fact that like her World of the Fairies had red caps and stuff, which if you've never heard of a red cap, it's a gnome that when it kills its prey, I hit my microphone. It dips its hat into its victims, and that's what paints it red. And this is a myth thing that's been around for a very long time, and I had known of them, so I was like, oh my god, that's cool. We're actually digging into lore here. This makes me so happy.
Cool.
And it also does have a really good enemies to lovers plotline, but I would say it's more political intrigue than it is romance. I feel like a lot of people recommend it as romance, and people are disappointed because it's not as much romance as they're hoping for. Obviously, I love classics like The Hunger Games. The Hunger Games trilogy, it really got me through a lot of stuff. I love those books. I think that if we're going to pick any book to be like our next classics book, it should be The Hunger Games. I think it's so good. Recently, I read, oh my goodness, I'm trying to run through some books. A book that I read was The Renaissance of Gwen Hathaway by Ashley Schumacher, I believe her name is. And that is it's so cute. It is a rom-com about a girl who lives in a Renaissance fair. Like she goes with the moving Renaissance fairs.
That's so cool.
And Yeah, and she recently lost her mother, and she's dealing with the grief of that, as well as ending up falling in love at the Renaissance Fair when she usually is a merchant, and she's now been put in the role of being the princess of the fair.
Oh my gosh, that sounds so cute.
It's adorable. I think that one's like a newer one that's a lot of fun and a nice like little quick beachy read too, I would say.
There's a YA book that I read, over a year ago, and it just still has stuck with me for so long. They Both Die at the End by Adam Silvera. Have you read it?
I know I have not, but I know of that book. Yes,
it's so good. I always recommend it, and people are like, "Why are you recommending this? It's so emotional and so sad." And it's such a meaningful book to me. So. Yeah,
I will definitely check it out because I've heard of it multiple times, but I haven't had a chance to sit down and read it yet.
How has fandom and writing and cosplay and all of this changed your life?
Without fandom, I would not only not be an author, I think, because I got into writing through this fandom and online community. I wouldn't have my partner.
Yeah, that's huge.
Because we met through fandom. Honestly, most of the major friendships and relationships I have in my life, I met through fandom in some way. Fandom to me is like a family almost. It's not just like this place that you escape to. It's like this place that you just sort of can live and be and have community around you in a way that you feel understood. Because sometimes the normies and the muggles of the world are like when you go to a party and you're like, I would like to discuss the character arcs of these people are looking at you that. Like, what?
The muggles of the world. That's great. I love that.
And it's like, it feels nice to like be able to just safely talk about the things you love and not feel judged. If that makes sense. Yeah, I think without fandom, I wouldn't have most of the connections I have today, and I wouldn't be as good of a writer as I am because I learned so much from writing with all those people. Like, so many writers that I wrote with when I was RPing were so talented, and I learned so much from them. And as I said, I wrote with my partner, and my partner now he alpha reads every single one of my things that I write, and will like go through and make little comments and like try and help me with things. There's a character in my book that they recommended be a villain, and I was like, no. And then, that ended up happening, so... Won't say who, obviously, but yeah.
I'm so excited to read your stuff.
Oh, I'm so excited for you too. I hope you like it.
What does being a nerd mean to you?
I don't ever remember a time in my life that I wasn't one, so it just sort of it feels like me. I've never thought of the word nerd as negative. I know it used to have a negative connotation in different times and such, but I always just thought it's just who I am. It's me. I love these things and they make me happy. So I just always say like, yeah, I'm a nerd. I'm a geek. I love this stuff. It's joy is being a nerd.
Oh, joy. I love that.
Yeah.
That's such a great way to put it. Have you always felt that way about being a nerd?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Any bullying I ever experienced in high school was never really because I liked Star Wars. So like I never really experienced that. So like I mean I've definitely sometimes experienced within the nerd community being questioned on whether I actually know things because I'm like a woman in a space that usually is filled by men. But I just always was like, well, I'm gonna show you up because that's
Yes. Love that.
That's not right. Yeah.
All right, so let's get into our geeky recommendations to help you embrace your nerdiness. So, oh man, I did not I've been struggling to come up with a recommendation. Do you have one? Do you want me to ask you first?
I do. I actually have two that I had planned because one I think is a little bit more easy and then the other is a little tougher.
Let's hear your recommendations.
My easy recommendation right now is Hazbin Hotel. Have you heard of it?
I have not.
Okay. It is all the rage on the internet right now, so I was like, oh, this is kind of like my obvious recommendation. It's a new show on Amazon Prime and it's animated. It's about 20 to 30 minutes each episode, so it's pretty easy to watch. And it is a story that is also a musical. It has a lot of Broadway talent, so that's a lot of fun.
Ooh.
It is the story of Lucifer's daughter. Her name is Charlie, and she is creating a hotel called the Hazbin Hotel to redeem sinners in hell so that they can go live in heaven and avoid the yearly extermination that heaven does to keep the population of hell down. It is... I will warn that it is, like, there are trigger warnings for SA and darker subjects for sure. It's not something I would recommend for children. This is an adult show, regardless of it being animated, but it's one of the best things I've watched in a long time. I listen to the soundtrack on repeat now.
Every episode I record, I'm like, my list is getting longer and longer.
At least it's a short watch. That's why I'm like, let me recommend something easy and like shorter before I go like a little bit harder. And then my other recommendation that I'm going to give is because I watch anime and I know a lot of people who been like, I want to watch anime too, but I don't know where to start because there's so much. The anime that I love right now that I recommend to pretty much everyone so long, again, if you're okay with some darker themes, because it definitely deals with darker themes, is Jujutsu Kaisen. And I don't know if you like anime at all, so if you've ever heard of it.
My husband's getting me into it.
Oh,
so I'm like
okay.
slowly entering that world.
Jujutsu Kaisen. So it is a school in Tokyo where they're teaching people how to exorcise demons. Hilariously, both of my things
I know.
are about
I was
demons.
like, oh, you're on theme here today.
It is one of the animes, and one of the reasons I wanted to recommend it, besides being a really good story, that to me is the first time in a long time where you always have an issue with anime sometimes where there's a lot of fan service with female characters. There's a lot of fan service with male characters in this show. And the female gaze is very much centered. And I cannot recommend that enough.
Yep, you're selling me on it.
Yep, there are like literally 4 or 5 male characters in there that are like my crushes at this moment. So
okay, well, you know what? Mentioning the female gaze gave me my recommendation for this week. So thank you. Because I was like, what am I going to recommend? So I am going to recommend Bridgerton. I love Bridgerton.
Yes.
Season 3 is coming out sometime soon at the time of this recording. I love it. I love season 2. I'm really excited for season 3. Do you watch Bridgerton?
I love Bridgerton, and I'm also really excited for season 3, going back to our earlier conversation, to see a plus-size woman taking the spotlight. I love Bridgerton. Bridgerton is one of my comp titles for my Orpheus and Eurydice retelling because it is a Regency-era set book. So, yeah, I love that show so much. I like season 2 more than I like season 1 because of the enemies to lovers thing.
Yeah.
And that was so good.
Oh my gosh, yes, and that slow burn. And I love Jonathan Bailey.
Yeah, I don't know what they did, what magic they sprinkled on that man between season 1 and season 2.
I know, the same with, I can't remember his name, the actor that plays Colin.
Yeah, the guy who's playing Colin. They did the same thing.
Yeah.
What little magic powder do they have that they're like, you go from the background characters to the main characters?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, but I am ready for season 3.
Yes, me too. And he's going to be playing, Anthony's actor is going to be playing Fiyero in the new Wicked movie.
Oh my God, you're right. I know. I'm so excited.
So excited.
Yes. Oh, I'm glad you brought that up too. Yeah, I saw the trailer and I'm like, the little clip that he's in, I was like, yep, that sold it. I mean, I love Wicked.
They just released, I don't know if you saw the promotional photos today. And there's this image of him on like a horse. It's fabulous.
I'm gonna, as soon as we're done recording, I'm gonna go check it out. Actually, you know what? I'm gonna look it up right now. Let's see.
Right now. Anthony on the horse.
Wicked promo photos. Let's see. Okay, so I only see, where can I find it?
Oh my gosh. Let me see if I can find it. Here. I don't know if you can see my screen.
I can see it. Oh man, I am so ready. I'm so ready for this. Well, Ria, thank you so much for being on the show today. I'm so excited to read your books. I had so much fun talking about Disney with you, also in the Haunted Mansion. That's so fun. When does your book come out?
My book comes out in March 2025, so we're about a year away now. And it comes out with Ink and Gray Publishing, and you can add it on Goodreads now. There's pre-orders through my publisher, but the pre-orders through Amazon and Barnes & Noble will be coming shortly.
So tell us what pre-ordering does for you?
Sure. So especially with debut authors, pre-orders can be important to show a publisher sort of how interested the public is in the work. And for someone like me with a small press, pre-orders can help the sequels actually happen.
Oh.
So yeah, since I only currently have a single book signed, so numbers mean that like more books could come in the series basically. And at this point it's a standalone with series potential. So there's an ending. It's not like if they don't come, it's you'll never know the end of the story.
Oh, I love that. I love that. Okay, so everybody, as soon as you're done listening to this episode, go and pre-order it. I will include links to do that in the show notes.
Yeah, I can give that to you.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Where can people find you?
You can find me on Instagram and TikTok at Ria the Wolf Writes. And you can also find me on, I guess it's X now and not Twitter, but I guess you can find me on X at Ria_the Wolf.
All right, everybody, if you can please rate and review the show on whatever podcast platform you're listening to the show on, I would really, really appreciate that. And please email me all of your nerdy thoughts at thatnerdthingpod@gmail.com. Don't forget to follow That Nerd Thing on Instagram and TikTok at That Nerd Thing Pod. Ria, I'm so excited that you're here and that we were able to talk. I'm really so excited for your book to come out in a year. Maybe we can chat again in a year when it comes out and talk about what this journey has been like for you.
I'd be happy to. It was great to be here.
Awesome. Thank you. All right, everybody. I will see you next time. Bye.